welcome back to Homestead Corner. I'm Ginny, and today I have got 10 crops for your fall survival garden. So today I have 10 fall crops for your survival garden. These love the cooler weather. They thrive in it. They can handle a little bit of frost, a couple of frosts usually, and they are absolutely excellent. You still have plenty of time to get these into the garden by the end of this month even. I think even here in Maine, we have stuff that we plant right up to the first week of August. Some things only take 45 to 60 days, and those are still excellent for growing. And if they can handle the cooler temps, they're perfect for those fall gardens. Before we get started, I just wanted to say, don't count out volunteers. Oh my goodness. Some of my best plants in my garden are things I didn't even plant this year. This year I didn't plant any yellow crooked neck squash, which is normally something we plant, and I did plant it last year, but apparently all the seeds didn't germinate last year because in a bed where I put carrots this year, I have got this amazing yellow crooked neck squash plant. It is the biggest plant in my garden. It is going completely out of control, and there's about 10 squash on there right now. So those plants, remember, even if you didn't plant it, if you see something coming up, you may want to just nurture it and love it like the things you planted, because it could be your best plant. And we are here in Maine, we're really just starting to harvest things. Blueberries are being harvested right now. I'm starting to get some zucchinis, green beans, things like that, peas. So we're starting to get stuff. We've got herbs. The herbs are going berserk this year. They clearly love the dry, hot conditions. So that's a good thing. So we're just harvesting the best we can and putting up as much as we can. Herbs, definitely, they will last 2 years. So if you wild harvest something or you grow it yourself and you're not able to grow it next year, don't worry. They will, if you dry them really well and vacuum seal them in jars or bags or whatever, they will last a couple of years. They're still very good for 2 to 3 years. So you don't have to grow it every single year, which is nice. You can grow different things. So let's get started on these 10 fall crops for your survival garden. The first one I have is carrots. Carrots, they grow pretty fast and they really love those cooler temps. They can handle it. And we like to put another crop in. We start them early in the spring, and we're starting to pull a few right now. They're almost ready. I want them to get them a little bit bigger, but putting another crop of them in, they can handle the frost. So you can put those in and leave them in even when it's frosting. My parents had a friend that was an amazing gardener, and he would take all of his root vegetables. He would take a tarp and cover them and leave them in the ground until snow was on them, probably about 6 inches of snow. And then he'd pull that tarp and pull the rest of his vegetables, and they last and last that way. So he had them almost all winter long, which is wonderful, just storing them in his root cellar. So carrots, definitely, they are a great one for fall crop. And that frost makes them a little bit sweeter afterwards, which is nice. And the second one is kale. Kale can handle a little bit of frost as well. Kale is one of those things that you can plant a couple times a year. It loves the full sun, but it does love it. Thrives in the cooler temperatures in those 70s, 60s. Number 3, Swiss chard. Swiss chard can handle the heat, which is great. You can plant it right now, stick the seeds right into the garden, and they will not bolt like some of your other plants that can't handle the heat as well. So they are excellent for the cooler temps, and they can handle a light frost, not heavy frost or anything, but a light frost in the fall. But it really does well in those cooler temps, and it's a little bit sweeter than kale, which is nice to add to your diet. And any of these greens can be dried to, you can dehydrate them to make them last into the winter. You can make powders with them, which is wonderful, like a super green powder. You can mix your greens together and add them to soups and casseroles and all sorts of meals, spaghetti sauce, just to get extra nutrients in there into those meals. So that is another great thing to do. They're also dried. They're great to toss a handful in soups and things like that. They work really well. Number 4, beets. Beets are wonderful. They are so good for you. There's so much goodness in them. They can handle a couple of frosts in the fall as well. And if you take your tops from your beets, your beet green pieces, the green parts, about halfway through, my mom taught me to cut your beet greens off, and they will grow a second crop, and that before you get to harvest your beet. So you're getting 3 harvests basically out of 1 crop of beets. So beets are wonderful. The beet greens are delicious, tons of things, and you can dry those as well. All sorts of stuff you can do with it. So beets are another super good fall. Number 5, bush beans. Bush beans can handle the cooler temps, and they are very quick to grow, only about 45 to 60 days. So those bush green beans are wonderful and great to have. Number 6, turnip. Turnip, the greens are delicious. You can use the greens just like beet greens or spinach, and turnip loves the cooler weather. It really thrives when it's not quite so hot. Starting them now is a great time, because once they get, their leaves up and everything, it will start to cool down a little bit and help them grow a little bit better. And they can handle a little frost as well. Number 7 is broccoli. Broccoli does excellent in the cooler temps. It does bolt in the hot weather, so I would definitely start them indoors right now, or in the next week or so. You want to start them inside, and then once it starts to cool a little bit and it's not 150 million degrees outside, then you can put them in. They do better with 70s, 60s, 50s temperatures. Broccoli doesn't really thrives with that cooler weather. So they're really great for early spring and fall. And number 8 is Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts love the cooler weather. They really thrive in it. They do excellent in the cooler temperatures. You want to grab them before that first frost, but there's still plenty of time to get a good crop of Brussels sprouts in. And number 9 is cabbage. Cabbage also loves those cooler temperatures. They're another one that I would start indoors right now, because they can bolt definitely with these hotter temps, but getting them started inside for a few weeks and then planting them out in the garden, they will thrive in those cooler temps. And cabbage, you can do tons of stuff with it. Great vegetable, and it is so good for you, and it really adds and beefs up. And number 10, lettuce. Lettuce is one of those plants that you can keep planting every couple of weeks. It can handle the cooler temperatures, not really a frost, but it will grow right up to that frost. It could handle a light frost, probably, some lettuces, but most of them they just keep growing and growing. The leaf lettuces, I don't really succession plant my leaf lettuces, because when I cut them down, they just regrow, which is wonderful. So we have a good selection of lettuce in one bed, and we just keep cutting away at it. And once we get to one end, we can go back and it's grown back up, which is wonderful. And you can kind of just go through it that way. We try to keep one section just for lettuce, but if you're growing heads of lettuce, like iceberg lettuce or any kind of heads of lettuce, they don't really regrow like the leaf lettuces do. So those you can keep planting every couple of weeks, all through your garden time, and that way you continue to have lettuce ready all the time right through the fall. There are quite a few other plants that definitely I think would be great to plant now. They're pretty quick growers and they can handle the cooler temps, like leeks, bunching onions, peas, things like that, mustard greens, arugula. There's a lot of different things that are pretty fast growing. You can still get into your garden. As soon as one thing is done, clean that out once it stops producing and get something else planted. And so you can keep that garden going as long as possible. Even here in Maine, we have pretty early frost, the beginning of October usually. So we still can get a good amount of crops grown with those frosts, because there are things we can leave in longer, and we try to make sure that we get those in and have plenty of time for those to grow. So you got that early spring garden, and then your early summer planting, and then your early fall planting. And it really, that is how you're going to expand your garden the most, is to keep planting food and having those options available for you. So even if your garden has flopped or you haven't gotten quite what you wanted out of it, definitely I would continue to work at it. I think this is a super important skill that everybody is going to need in the future. Growing your own food is very important, and it can help you survive with a little bit of other things on the side. Between what you can grow, what you can forage, hunt for, you can definitely make it and have enough food for your entire family. And that's it for today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.